Call this May 12th, 2026 Essex County Board of Supervisors work session to order. April, you do a roll call, please?
Chairman Akers.
Present.
Vice Chairman Gill.
Present.
Supervisor Hale.
Present.
Supervisor Henry. Supervisor Magruder.
Here.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. First up, we have our VDOT Smart Scale briefing. So Brian, Cassie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, we, as staff, are working on Smart Scale quite a bit. One of the integral partners we have is Cassie Lord with VDOT. Cassie is the Fredericksburg Area Planning Manager. So if you have concerns about potholes or a road somewhere, she's not the person to talk to. That might be Lee or somebody like that, but
No
but-
branches?
no, right, yeah. But Cassie is, she's got a presentation for you all on the current Smart Scale application. It does span the town area and the county. And as you know, because of the size of the town, we apply for the town for their portion of the Smart Scale. And she can go into details on that and answer any questions you have. And I'll try to answer any questions that you might have that she can't answer. And guys, she was going to start with that slide deck that I gave you first. I told you incorrectly earlier. Okay, Cassie, thank you.
All right, hi, I'm Cassie Lord. I am the Fredericksburg District Planning Manager. I actually came here this evening to kind of explain the bits and pieces of Smart Scale, but then also go over the Smart Scale applications that the county is going to be applying for this round. I did this mainly because some of them, especially for what we are looking at within the town of Tappahannock, are a little bit more complicated than a normal Smart Scale application. So I came down here this evening to make sure that I could help the county staff out with explaining any of the questions, and with Smart Scale and having new board members, I figured it would be good to be able to explain any questions that you guys have. We can go next slide. All right, so this is round 7. So Smart Scale has been around for a good amount of years now. They do updates usually every round, but now we're officially in round 7. Pre-application has closed, stuff has been submitted. We are in the process of reviewing everything, and then full application will open up in June. You can go to the next one. All right, so what is Smart Scale? It's Virginia's data-driven prioritization process to fund the right transportation projects that generate the greatest benefit for taxpayers. It stands for Systems for the Management and Allocation of Resources for Transportation. And the key factors used in evaluating a project's merits: improvements to safety, congestion reduction, accessibility, land use, economic development, and the environment. Smart Scale is the result of an intensive collaborative effort, and it's a bipartisan support of the General Assembly to bring localities and regional bodies across the state together to develop an outcome-based scoring system of transportation projects, the only kind in the country. Next slide. All right, how is Smart Scale funded? After maintenance and other programs and needs are financed, remaining construction funding goes to Smart Scale and is distributed according to a funding formula. Nearly half, 45% of the funding, goes to the rehabilitating existing pavements and bridges called State of Good Repair, and the rest is divided up between high priority projects that have statewide impact and district projects that benefit localities or regions. Next slide. The process for Smart Scale is pertaining to this county. Is the staff from Essex County and the town of Tappahannock met to discuss potential projects. This round, Essex County staff looked at previously submitted Smart Scale projects that have previously been requested with VDOT, studies that have been conducted by VDOT. Because the town is not eligible to submit on their own, their projects are submitted with the counties. Localities, public transit operators, and MPO submit projects to be scored through the Smart Scale process. Projects are objectively scored according to the key factors or merits listed above. After the projects are scored, the Commonwealth Transportation Board selects the projects are included in the 6-year improvement program. Once the projects are in the program, they are fully funded through construction. So the process is kind of, they have this nice little diagram for it. So we are right now in eligibility screening. We will then go into readiness screening with full application. There will then be a project scoring, and then based on that scoring, the CTB will choose which projects to move forward, and that is where we get the project programming with the CTB. For what are the road improvement options, you have road and highway improvements are not necessarily new roads or bridges or the addition of traffic lights, etc. The study or studies may reveal the need for various techniques for traffic and safety management. Next slide. So right now we have just finished pre-application. Everything was submitted for the county on March 30th. The pre-screening decisions will be communicated between May 26th and May 29th. Full application, that will be opening up June 1st. So everything will be converted over to full application. June 3rd, there will be a full application training. That will make sure that the county is attending. The July 15th, we have the deadline to include supporting documentation for gated features, which VDOT will be helping the county out with. And then all final applications are due on August 3rd. So current pre-application or study sites, we do have right now the Route 360 arterial management plan. That is an ongoing VDOT study. From there, that we are applying for Smart Scale. The county is doing Route 360 at Howerton Road and Dunbrook Road, and then the Route 360 at Keno Road. The town requested, with inclusion of the county's Ready, Set, Go application, Route 17 in Queen Street, road diet from Queen Street to the Dangerfield Street includes a through cut for Queen Street intersection and relocating pedestrian crosswalks on Queen Street and Cross Street with a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. All right, so this is going to be the first application that the county has submitted. It's Route 360 at Dunbrook Road and Howerton Road. So for this one, it's relatively simple. We are just extending the left turn lanes. This will help with capacity, and it will also allow vehicles to get out of the through lanes a little bit faster, and they will have more time to slow down before they get to that median. Next one. This is Route 360 at Keno Road. So this is an unsignalized green tee. So with this one, they would be extending the left turn lane. They would be removing the left turn lane, and they would be extending the right turn lane on Route 360 to Keno Road, and they would also be installing a right turn lane on Keno Road. What this will allow, and also putting an acceleration lane on 360. What this will allow is vehicles that are turning left from Keno Road to go onto 360, they will now have an acceleration lane so that they can get up to speed and move over into the through traffic that is on 360. And then the extended left turn for 360 to go onto Keno, that just gives them longer period to basically slow down before they're doing that left turn. Overall, it should help with any conflicting movements that were existing in that median area. Before I move on to the road diet, does anyone have any questions? Because I know I just went over a lot of things very quickly.
Thank you for stopping
Yeah.
here. Going back one slide,
Okay.
just to be clear, at that intersection, you're not talking about putting a, what do they call those, S things where you
The
have to?
R-cut?
R-cuts, yes, that's what they
No.
call them. Okay,
Um,
it's just
that-
simply lane improvements
Yep.
and that's it? Okay,
It's just
good
lane
enough.
improvements.
For now, all right.
That one, they had looked at in the study.
That's what I thought, and that's what I
Right,
want
but the
to note the
county
change.
said that they preferred this one,
Okay.
so this is one that got moved forward.
And the next slide? is there going to be a barrier there that people cannot do a U-turn there?
Correct. They will not be able to do a U-turn at that movement.
Okay, so if you were to go to Tappahannock Chevrolet, going westbound,
Yep.
get my correction, where are they going to be able to turn around to get to Tappahannock Chevrolet?
So they would have to go to the next median opening to do that movement.
Which you realize is across Piscataway Creek and above on the next hill.
Yes.
So you're asking them to go an extra mile to do that.
Yes.
Is there any chance that some other remediation for that could be done?
I mean, we
I'm not disputing what you're doing
Yeah.
here. What you're doing here is good, because
Right.
that's a high accident area. I get that.
I can talk to, I can talk to our consultant and see if it would be a relatively easy thing to add in some kind of like U-turn that's just past this.
Because this in effect isn't our cut, is really what it ends up being, because you can't do a
Yes.
U-turn there, or.
Right, it's a little bit, the difference with this one is that, yes, you can't do a U-turn, at least not when you're going
Westbound.
basically, yeah, westbound.
Mhm.
It gives that Keno Road movement an acceleration lane,
Which
which
is great.
right, and the
Totally
R-cuts
get-
don't do
understand
that.
that.
So
Okay.
that's the big difference there.
But if that
But we
modification
can-
could be made between Kino Road and Piscataway Creek, put the turnaround there somewhere, rather than them having to travel all the way up to the other side of the hill, because that's the next crossover.
Right.
And that's a little dangerous too, on that hill.
So,
Okay, so I will have, them look at that. I
Okay.
know when we were doing the application, that did get brought up. There was some concern about basically not having that U-turn movement.
the only
For
other
that-
option would be
that
to put a,
Chevy.
one there to accommodate Tappahannock Chevrolet. That's your other option.
Right.
So, I don't mind either one, but I'm
Okay.
protective of my business people.
Yes, no,
Okay.
I understand.
I
So
appreciate it.
I will have them look and see if we can add some kind of U-turn past that.
After you pass the
Keno. Is it Kano? Why did you never fix it? He never told me. He did, he set me up.
after you pass Connor Road, going down the hill, you can make a left, a U-turn, come back and go to Board of Supervisors. So it's one before you get down the car.
There is one
Alright.
before then? All right, my mistake then.
Okay,
But it's still, but you still ask people, look at the hill, you still gotta heal that.
It's going down the hill.
Yeah, but you still gotta see them coming over the top of the hill.
That's one, that's an attempt from all.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that might be one of the reasons that
Okay, I see it
the
now.
consultant did
You are-
not do that.
I stand corrected.
Thank
Okay.
you, I appreciate that.
Well, then the key thing for that would be, if we're gonna use that, if that's what ends up being, there's gonna need to be a turning lane down there to make that U-turn,
Okay,
to make that safe.
There's not a turn lane there now?
There's no turning lane there, I don't believe.
Just a crossover.
There is? Okay.
okay,
All right. I can't, okay, I see it now.
it's not full one,
All right.
okay,
All right, we're good.
okay.
That's easy.
All right, great. Okay, so before we dive into this, I do have a video to help you all understand what we are proposing for out here. So it's a simulation, and if you guys could play that first, and then we can kind of go into the sketch to make things a little bit easier. And so mind you, this is 2033 that we're showing in the PM peak hour. This is based on traffic data that was collected very recently. And then we use a growth factor of 0.5%. And that is based on historical growth rates. And also for this area, while it was technically based on historical growth rates negative, we feel at VDOT that we don't like looking at negative growth rates, and so it's a default to go to 0.5% for the growth rate. So that is what we assumed. We are doing a 2033, and the consultant is also going to be looking at this for 2055. to make sure if there's any tweaks that they would need to do for the signal timing to keep this working. And we're also going to just kind of show what's happening at Wright Street. This is the bottom half. So this is right before you basically have that northbound traffic going into the road diet. We will not be, so I don't want to get into it too much because we're going to be going over it in the sketch. But Prince Street will be the only one where, at least for, we're removing that traffic signal, proposing to remove the traffic signal, that we would be removing the lefts out. All the other cross streets, especially within the two-way left turn, they're all going to still be able to make lefts out, and they will only then be competing with one lane of traffic from the opposite direction instead of dealing with two lanes when they're making that left out. And they will be able to turn into the two-way left turn lane before merging over into the through lane. So it should be safer for them doing that, and we can get into the benefits of a road diet when we get to that slide. And then this is just an overall of what it will look like going through town. Yes, it is very tiny, which is why they kind of zoomed in on the first part of it. And you all have the video, so you can look at this again. We purposely recorded it so that you guys didn't have to have any of the software that you would normally need to watch the traffic simulation. So they kind of just to show overall of how this would be operating during like your heaviest peak hour during the PM that you would have usually out here on this road. And that is also in 2033, so that would be 7 years out from today.
At the Marsh Street intersection, it looked like from the video that the left turn only would start before you reach Marsh Street. Is that correct? Am I looking at that right?
Yeah, if we can go back to the slide. All right, if you guys can go to the next slide real quick, and then we'll go back to this one. So for Marsh Street, you will have it will actually break back out into the two lanes right before Marsh Street when you're going northbound.
I'm talking southbound.
So southbound, it will turn into that left turn only lane.
Where? After
Right-
Marsh Street
Yeah,
or,
right at
or
Marsh-
before Marsh Street? 'Cause
Right
it-
at Marsh Street, it will turn into a left turn only lane
Okay.
for that intersection. So that everyone who's making a left will be in that lane, and everyone who's going through and right will be in the right lane. So that would start right around Marsh Street, that you would be able to, that lane would turn into a left turn only lane.
Because in the video, it looked like there was a solid white line above Marsh Street.
That is just the way that the
fine.
synchro gets set up and everything. But no, we're not gonna be blocking anything off at Marsh Street. It's gonna still be full access the way it is now.
I'm just concerned that people it's causing a problem right there at that intersection when they get stuck in that left-hand turn lane thinking that they can go straight as well. How is that gonna be addressed?
So we can add signage that basically will say how the lanes are going to be used. Before we get to Marsh Street, we can add lane usage signs saying, you know, that one's gonna be like a left turn only, and then it will be, the other one will be a through and right. That can be added before Marsh Street so that people have more than enough time before they get to the traffic signal to know which lane they need to be in.
So when people come through northbound now through that traffic light and they want to make a left turn into the Sunoco station, not utilizing the highway there, but cut across 2 lanes of traffic and traffic trying to turn left, how can we address that in this smart scale improvement?
So that did get brought up by the county, and
That's why the town application.
Yep. And the town, and So that would actually, at this point, we feel that would be a better discussion to have with the residency. Only because we know from what we've heard from the county and town, it's an issue now with people doing that.
Big
So
time.
our thought was this, if it gets funded, we'll find out, next spring, whether this gets funded or not.
Okay,
Would be then another 7 years out
okay.
before we would even start looking to do right-of-way acquisition, or if any is really needed. It's very minimal, not on 17 right now, I don't believe, we're not showing any. But that would be 8 years out. So, and we know that's an issue today. So we have, I have talked to Lee about it and kind of given him some ideas. So that can be a discussion that the county and town have with the residency on how they can deal with that problem now. But we felt that that was not something that we should have in the smart scale application when it can be done outside the smart scale application, that there are things that can be proposed that would be relatively easy and that would be low cost and effective to keep people from making that left.
They should make it at the intersection. Last question on the Prince Street intersection there. Did this smart scale study take in consideration the new business that's going to be moving into the old bank there, and that is going to be a gas station?
So that did get brought up.
Okay,
The town did let us know about
Okay.
that. That area, I mean, the way it's striped, the gas station at that driveway would still be able to make a left out if they're coming from the driveway at the gas station. From Prince Street, we have it set up right now to be right in, right out. And removing the traffic signal, one of the reasons for that is we only have about 300 feet between Queen Street and Prince Street. So that can become very problematic if, say, these people are going and they're making a left, and then for whatever reason they hit a red light at Prince Street. That would back up very, very quickly and kind of defeat the purpose of what we are trying to do, which is to keep traffic moving and also keep Queen Street from backing up at the same time and to keep Route 17 moving. So that was one of the reasons. And also for northbound, we felt it made more sense to have that right turn lane or the right lane turn into a right turn only lane around Prince Street because of the amount of people that are turning right to go onto Queen Street. So that will give them more capacity to make the right turn and hopefully stop this lane from backing up, and you can have people automatically going into that left lane to go through the intersection. So that's kind of why we designed it that way. If you go to the previous slide, that kind of shows where it starts. So it's right after Wright Street. We will not be touching the traffic signal at Wright Street. That is remaining. And then we would have it so that at Wright Street, it breaks back out into 2 lanes going southbound. And going northbound, that is right after the traffic signal is when you would see that merge to go down into 1 lane. And then for all the commercial businesses that are fronting Route 17, they would have that 2-way left turn lane going all the way then up to where it stops right before Prince Street.
I appreciate your thoroughness in with addressing those issues and everything. You know, the only concern I would have is, I know this had to be a county application, but have you gotten a thumbs up from the town?
So
This affects them, I mean,
Yes, we
Okay.
did. I did do a presentation last night for the town.
okay,
They are going to be looking over the slides and the video. I showed them the same video that I showed you all. Actually, the presentation I have here from here onwards is exactly what I presented to the town yesterday.
You're one step ahead of me then, Cassie. Thank you for that. All
Well,
right, I'm good.
we were trying to,
Right.
you know, get their
I
input.
appreciate your thoroughness.
Yeah, and so they're gonna be reviewing it, any questions that they have on it, they're gonna be giving to me directly. I did tell their assistant town manager to just give them my email, so if they have questions and concerns, they can reach out to me directly about anything for what we are proposing here, so. If we go to the next slide, we will also be keeping the crosswalks, go back one, yep, thank you. We're going to be keeping the crosswalks for Prince Street, and we're going to be upgrading any of the curb ramps out there. Also, the crosswalk that is out here, we're gonna be moving it closer to the intersection, and we're going to be upgrading those ramps. And we're also going to be modifying the intersection at Queen Street to a through cut. And I can get into more details further on in this presentation. I kind of go into that a little bit more. So if we can go to the next slide. So this is going to be at Queen Street, right here. We would be getting rid of the mid-block crossing. We would be removing those ramps, and then we would be moving the crosswalk actually down to Cross Street. And we would also be installing the rectangular rapid flashing beacon. So this will allow when a pedestrian goes to cross, they can push a button. It will flash and it will tell motorists that they need to stop. One of the reasons also that we put the crosswalk on the side that we did was because when you have, say, traffic sitting here and backing up at the light for when it's red, and then you have traffic coming through, they're going to be more likely to be able to see the pedestrians on that side of the roadway compared to the other side. So we were trying to basically distance the pedestrians from the motorists a little bit more to make it safer for them crossing here. We are also proposing to make Cross Street we're going to allow the lefts from Queen Street onto this section of Cross Street, but remove it for the other side and make that side of Cross Street a right in, right out. We would make this side of Cross Street, so on south of the page, we would make that side a right out, but you would still be able to make the lefts in and the right in. This is just so that we do not have traffic kind of impeding at that intersection, trying to make a left onto Queen Street. So, and then they can, if they need to, they can go down to Water Lane if they need to make a left onto Queen Street. This is just to make that intersection, because it is so close to a signalized intersection, operate a little bit safer. So if there's no questions, we can kind of go into the benefits of the road diet, and then I'm going to focus in on the Queen Street intersection and the Prince Street intersection.
I have a question.
Yep.
You said that this is 8 years out, right? So are you coming back and doing traffic studies? A lot of things can happen in 8 years, and could anything change with increased traffic counts that would change what you're projecting right here?
Yes and no, because we are, if for some reason traffic increased way more than what we thought it would increase, then it would make us relook at what we're proposing. Right now, everything is showing that it should operate correctly, but yes, they would do an updated traffic study. They would make sure that what's being proposed is still going to work. If this does get funded, they would start that in the PE phase. They would make sure, get things updated, do updated counts, and rerun everything to make sure everything's still going to operate correctly before they construct it. Especially with, so a through cut, so you all are aware, is technically an innovative intersection. It's one of the smaller ones, and it's not very costly to do it, but it is considered an innovative intersection, and with it being on Route 17, that one will be reviewed by central office when it's moving forward to make sure that it's still operating correctly. So that will be a step higher than what the district is doing.
Okay.
You know the times, like the time of year when you guys did the study?
So for this one, we just did the counts. They were done within the past 2 months.
Okay. So I know during harvest time, we get a lot of trucks going to Purdue and down Richmond Beach Road. We want to make sure we accommodate for, there's a lot of grain trucks and
Yeah.
everything else that comes through there. So we want to capture that data because it is heavier during that time.
All right, we can go to the next slide. So this is just more of the crash history that we've seen on Route 17. We have one fatality within this segment. We do have a lot of non-visible injuries. We only have one severe injury, and then we do have a high number of visible injuries as well as just the property damage only. And then when it actually comes to the types that we're seeing, we are seeing a lot of the angle crashes, which makes sense for all the commercial driveways that we have in this segment of roadway. We are seeing the rear end crashes. We've got about 21, and then we are also getting a lot of side swipe, same direction crashes through this segment of roadway. Those seem to be the top 3 that we're having in this segment. If we can go to the next slide. So one of the benefits of a road diet, it does actually help reduce your crash rate overall. It significantly reduces your severe crash rate that result in fatalities and injuries. You're reducing your rear end crashes. You're reducing your angle crashes, and then you're also reducing your head-on crashes by increasing that separation between northbound and southbound traffic. It's also a traffic calming mechanism. So what this will do is it will help reduce people's speed through town by about 3 to 5 miles per hour. This is not to say that the posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour. So that would not change. It's just more that people would be less likely to go overly fast through town. It will keep that speed limit closer to the 25 mile per hour that we have posted. You also then have fewer lanes for pedestrians to cross. It improves sight distance because, as I said, then you're only dealing, for people who are making a left, you're only dealing with 1 lane. For people who are making a right, you're only dealing with 1 lane, especially coming out of the commercial driveways and the side streets. And the best part is it's wider travel lanes. You reduce those mirror side swipes for all vehicles, and it just overall feels a lot safer when you have the wider lanes and having then that 2-way left turn lane that's helping separate the northbound and southbound traffic. Next slide.
Yeah, it's nothing like having a truck here and a truck coming this way and you're squeezing that.
Exactly, exactly. So as I was saying earlier, we did also look at our average annual daily traffic when we initially started looking at this. Right now, this area is sitting at just over 21 in 2033 with that 0.5% growth rate. We're looking at just over 22,000, and then in 2055, we're looking at over 24. So traffic is going to steadily increase, and this road diet is looking at that. So we are making sure that what we are proposing should work out until the 2055 timeframe. So that we are making sure that if we're proposing this, that it's going to keep working the way it's supposed to be working. So that is something that, so that you guys are aware, we are making sure that we're doing both. Smart Scale wants to see 2033 information, and then the district always makes sure that we look 22 years out from there. Next one. Okay, so we're going to focus in on some of the aspects that we are proposing, especially out on Route 17. So for Queen Street and Route 17, we are proposing a through cut. This would turn this side, so I guess the south side of or the south part of the page would be then a left and a right only. And then the other side next to the gas station would be a right in, right out. We are looking at different things that we could do there instead of the right in, right out. We don't want to widen that segment of Queen Street because it would impact the commercial businesses. So we are also looking at potentially doing it as a one-way going towards the intersection so that all the residential that is living on Queen Street there can still make a left turn out onto 17. So that is something that if that gets changed or modified, we are in talks with the county and town about that, and we'll keep them updated. So that's the only tweak that may happen here, is we might change that to a one-way. That will also help enforce people not going through onto that side of Queen Street. And also for the traffic volumes, that left out of Queen Street on that side is a higher volume compared to all the other volumes that we would be impacting. So that is something that we are trying to keep in mind when we are looking at this. If you actually go to the next slide, I did include, this is the existing counts for the peak hours that we have out here. So if you look for the northbound movement, that left turn would be one of the movements that is taken out. And then the through movements on the east side would be taken out for Queen Street. And then for the west side, right now what we have proposed in the sketch would remove your through and your left. What we are potentially looking at is modifying it so that it would take out the through movement, but allow those left and rights, and then it would just remove the right turn movements from the southbound on 17. That is because the left turns out of Queen Street are a lot higher, and we're trying to make sure that we're not impacting the residents who are living there so that they don't have to then go out to Marsh Street to try and make a left if they're trying to go northbound on 17. So that is something that we are trying to look at now that we have the traffic counts of potentially modifying that. The original through cut came from a STARS study from several years ago. So that is one of the reasons there might be a modification, is now that we've seen how those streets are being used, we're a little weary of just making that a right in, right out. Does anyone have questions? I feel like.
Can you define peak hour?
Yes, okay. So a peak hour for a roadway is, especially for AM or PM, is when you're gonna have your highest volume of traffic. So for Tappahannock, you are probably looking at in the morning, it would be like between 7 and 8 o'clock. So that would be a full hour.
So it's 1 hour.
1 hour.
Okay.
And then for PM, it's a little bit earlier than, say, what we would have like in Fredericksburg. So from what I saw, it's like between 4:15 and 5:15 is when you're getting that like full hour of like your heaviest traffic. And that is what we look at. We get like 13-hour counts, but we do look at to find out where your highest volumes are for your AM and PM, so that anything we are proposing would work when you have the most amount of traffic coming through here.
Thank you.
Are there any other
If they make
questions?
modifications
Yep.
for the left turn
Mhm.
into the Sunoco station heading north, isn't that going to affect that through cut proposal?
Well, it would make
Because
it
people
so
are gonna
that,
wanna come out more,
right.
because now they're also coming and
Right.
making the northbound.
And that is one of the other reasons of thinking that we should have it as one way approaching 17, so that people can still go to the gas station and then come out to Queen Street and be able to make a left. So that is one of the other reasons that we're looking at
Okay.
potentially changing it to a one-way, and we feel like when I brought it up, no one was against basically what I was proposing, and it would be it would work better than the right in, right out right now, that we were originally looking at. So this is I will say, bits and pieces of it are still able to be modified, which is why we're trying to really focus in and look at to make sure that we've got the best application that we can have for the full application that will work the best for the county and town. Next slide. So kind of go over what a through cut is that I just showed you. It's an intersection design where side street through movements are prohibited. It's basically side street motorists turn left or right and make another turn at an existing opening to cross the major street. Your side street left and right turn lanes may be channelized using physical barriers or pavement markings. So for the east side of Queen Street, we're not proposing that because of the bigger vehicles that are turning here. We want to make sure that all those vehicles can still make all the turns. Adding in any kind of physical barrier would impact that, so we want to make sure that we're not impacting bigger trucks making left or right turns, and we're not causing any right-of-way impacts for what we're proposing. So that will be on this side a strict just repavement marking and having signage out there. The main intersection will be still controlled with a traffic signal. We will not be getting rid of the traffic signal. It will be maintained, and that will be kept to keep everything flowing nicely. If we can go to the next slide. So consideration of a through cut, this is what they used when they were looking at originally in the STARS study. Intersections with low side street through traffic volumes that also have heavy major street through and or left turn traffic volumes at intersections where side street through movements can be accommodated by rerouting to existing intersections, and then also intersections with the four legs. Next slide. So benefits, it reduces the number of points where vehicles are crossing paths. It eliminates that side street through movement, allowing for fewer or shorter traffic signal phases, it's going to help reduce the delay and increase the capacity at this intersection, which is very important, keeping Queen Street moving and Route 17 moving. So that will have a double benefit for both roadways. It's a shorter wait time because you're going to have that separate signal, the fewer signal phases. And it's very cost effective. This is one of the lower innovative costs that we can use at that intersection with very minimal, if any, right-of-way impacts that we're going to need to worry about for this. Next slide. So I don't want to get too much into this, but it will also help reduce your conflict points. Conflict points are when you have basically a crossing or a merging or a diverging. Compared to a conventional intersection, it will drop. Normal standard intersection is about 32 points. The through cut is around 20. This means like the through traffic and someone making a left. You're getting rid of that kind of conflict point. That's not something you're going to have to worry about or deal with anymore. So we can go to the next slide. All right, so I also did want to bring up the removal of the traffic signal at Prince Street. This is a topic that when we were talking to the town, they did create they had some worry about it, so this is going to be something that I'm going to have to talk to the town a little bit more about. We would be removing that traffic signal and making it a right in, right out only for the side street for Prince Street. We also would not be allowing the lefts in from Route 17. This will stop traffic in the through lanes on Route 17 from blocking, trying to make that left. So you won't have that stopping that will happen with left turn lanes. We can go to the next slide.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
In your study, because right now, Prince Street is a relief valve for Queen Street.
Right.
When the traffic backs up to the bridge, people cut over to go out this way and then
Right.
turn left.
Right.
Did you count those cars that did that?
Yes, so any cars that they removed from Prince Street, they then put back onto Queen Street. That was one of the reasons it took a little bit longer when they were doing this. They had to reroute the traffic to see where it would go. And so the assumption was that it would go back to Queen Street to then make that left. Also, all the side streets going down will be able to, other than Prince Street, be able to make a left. So I'm not saying people from Queen Street would go down to those side streets, but maybe someone who's on one of those side streets who might go up to Queen Street or Prince Street, they now know, oh, hey, I can just make a left and I only have to deal with one lane and I can get into the two-way left turn lane and then merge into the traffic. They did look at making sure that they moved that traffic from Prince Street back to Queen Street to make sure that it was still going to operate with that added traffic. And the goal is not to have Queen Street backing up anymore to the bridge on top of it. That's one of the reasons for proposing the through cut. It will allow Queen Street to have a longer green time to help clear that out. And they were seeing that in the 2333 run model, is that traffic is clearing out during the signal phase. So this is also the existing turning movement counts. This also shows the AM and PM. The left turns onto Prince Street from Route 17 are very low and very minimal. The left turns from Prince Street onto Route 17 are a little bit higher in both directions. You have, on the west side of Prince Street, you've got 26 in the morning and 25 in the evening. And then you also, on the east side of Prince Street, you have 73 in the morning and 80 in the evening. So this is an intersection that we are going to look at to see if other mechanisms can be used other than removing the traffic signal. Because of what we are proposing for the road diet, no matter what we look at, the left turns on 17 would have to be removed, but we are gonna look at other options just to make sure that we can give the town alternatives for other than removing the traffic signal here. One of the several considerations for removing it is its close proximity to the Queen Street signal. It's within 300 feet of Queen Street. It has operational issues for the through movements, northbound and southbound, if we allow it to remain of fully signalized and then with all the turn movements being allowed. Removing the left turns from Route 17 helps reduce the impeding through traffic movement. They're also, as I pointed out, they're also relatively low. And then for Prince Street, the idea is that they would be able to use nearby intersections to access Route 17 still, and that it would not be very hard for them to get out on the side streets with the two-way left turn lane there. So then that is it. And if you guys have any more questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Will these changes be able to accommodate a farm tractor or combine running through town?
Yes, so the lanes will be much wider than what they are right now. Yeah, so, and I mean, most likely that size of a vehicle, they probably would take up the through lane and then be using a part
And that would
of the
be-
two-way left turn lane.
And that would be in the plan or acceptable?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, at that point, I mean, they have to be able to use the roadway. And it would be a lot safer than them trying to, right now, maybe taking up both the lanes and maybe even impeding then the
Okay.
traffic going the other way.
Okay.
So it would definitely be a lot safer than what's going on right now.
And any chance that the telephone poles through Tappahannock could be removed as part of this plan too? I had to ask.
Unfortunately, no. That would be,
Can't fault me for trying.
I know, I
Okay.
know.
Thank you for that.
That would be very, very costly.
Okay.
But our goal actually is to, especially on 17, is to do the least amount of impact We're not trying to impact the businesses right away.
We would accept that, though.
Right, I know.
I'm teasing. Sorry.
But we are trying our best to make sure that we're not doing any major impacts with what we're proposing to keep the benefit to cost ratio at a point that this can still score well for the project.
Did you, from Cross Street to Queen Street,
Mm-hmm.
was there no left turns if you're going northbound on Cross Street? Did you eliminate the left-hand turn?
So we're eliminating the left turn when you're here, yeah, and
If
then
you're coming
going,
from here, you can't turn left?
if you're coming this way, you won't be able to turn left. If you're coming from like the bridge, you'll still be
I'm
able
talking
to
if we're
turn.
coming this way,
Oh, yeah, if you're coming this way, we remove the lefts.
because if you have somebody that's on Prince Street here,
Mhm.
they can't even come down here and turn around
No, they'd have to go down to Water Lane to then make a
and
left.
come back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, that makes it so that the left turns coming out onto Queen Street are far enough away from the traffic signal that it's not impeding. And also that it would be a safer for them to be able to make that left turn
I
out.
just didn't know how much more traffic that would be on Water Lane.
Yeah.
And all these changes have to be done at one time.
Yes.
Prince Street, Queen Street, the whole 9 yards to
Right,
make it
and
work.
they would most likely, some of it could be, it would all be under construction at once. The road diet is a simpler part of it, of basically repaving it and then putting in the new striping. The rest of it would probably be phased. They would have the traffic management out there to deal with removing aspects of it.
Okay.
Board members, any other questions? Thank you, appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, next up, we have the EDA review of the 2026 Virginia Tourism Grant and presentation for Explore Essex website. Woody?
Members of the Board of Supervisors, Madam County Administrator, thank you for letting me be here tonight. My presentation is not as complex. That was hard. And I really appreciate what they do. A lot of thought into these things, isn't it? And for us in the audience, it's just tremendous how much goes into this. The first thing I want to talk about is updating you on your Explore Essex campaign, where we are, let you know about the latest grant funding that we were awarded, have a chance for you to have a discussion, ask me some questions, think about this, and then think about how you want to fund this. So the first thing that's in your package, you should have this cover sheet says applicant acknowledgement. That is the actual grant application to Virginia Tourism, and there's some really good information in here. A lot of it, in addition to the nuts and bolts, are what are the grant deliverables, what are the associated costs with those deliverables. There's a lot of information in here about where did we come up with this plan, that there's data-driven deliverables. A lot of this has to do with, last year the EDA got into a Virginia tourism program where we're able to access visitor data through a program called Arrivalist. And so that helped us write this grant. It tells us where our visitors are coming from, how long they stay, and that informs us on where do we market to, right? How do we advertise? And the point of all of this, the whole reason for it, is to attract people to come here and spend the night, hopefully multiple nights. The nuts and bolts, getting down to the core of it, is attract overnight visitors coming from other places. So, this is built on a hub and spoke model. Very common with these tourism groups like Virginia Tourism. And so Tappahannock is the hub. We have spokes that reach out into our partners' locations on the Northern Neck or in the Middle Peninsula. But because Tappahannock has the hotels, and the restaurants to support a larger number of visitors. We use this hub and spoke. So, if you work your way into, let's go to the next page, Chuck. It starts with our marketing. Come on, let's go again. This is where we're reaching out to Richmond. On the next to last page in your package, marketing plan, that right there, Chuck, thank you. So this is where we start talking about deliverables and how much they cost. There's two sections to this. The way this works, this is an award of up to $15,000. It's a one-to-one matching grant. So the locality would match the award, equal amount, to achieve these deliverables. So we set this up by looking at a marketing plan that was developed for us last year. We received a Virginia Tourism Grant last year of $8,400. This board matched that, and we spent that money on some deliverables that included a marketing plan. Associate Media did a study, and it tells us about where to market to and what's effective based on this data about visitors. So if you look at this website upgrade, that website upgrade is really content migration. The current plan that we have, the grant that we currently have with them from last year, had to do with building materials to go on a website. So that Consociate came down and did photo shoots. And they wrote the marketing plan. Now it's time to take the photos and things like that, the logo that was developed, and migrate that to the website. So that's a big part of this. There are also a lot of social media driven campaigns related to this. And those particulars are in that section, marketing plan, in kind. And if you look at that, there's a total in kind coming down a little bit. Yeah. Right there, Chuck. Thank you. So $27,500. That is really the nuts and bolts of this campaign. But because we can get 15 match, we looked at what else would we want to do. According to our marketing plan and advice from our consultant, we would like to build out some other things besides just photos. We want some videos and other things that you put on a website. And so the second part of this, if you scroll down, Chuck, is money built in for videography. And so what we want to do with this is take this budget, look at these deliverables, and think about how we want to implement this, what vendors we want to use. We want to do a video. Well, let's find out what that works like. With this grant agreement, it's important to remember we don't have to do all of this. If you remember last year we got $8,400. We wrote a $40,000 budget, hoping to get $20,000 in match. We got $8,400. So we had to pare that down. So we took the most important things at that time. We paid for those. We got those. Those same goals that we wanted last year, we rolled that right over into this application. We still need to do those things. You got to put the things on the website. So that's where this budget comes in. What I'm looking for tonight is to let you know that we need a $15,000 match from the Board of Supervisors for this grant. There's some other items associated with it. We're going to be getting some money back from this current grant. We have a budget plan that we think we can achieve. But the ask to you is $15,000. So I want to look at a couple of things. And Chuck, could you pull up our Facebook page? So I want you to know about the current campaign, Explore Essex. We have 3 elements we're working with right now, and that's the social media components, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then we're developing the website. And remember, the website is something you purchase separately. That's the $12,900. that you allocated last year, actually the spring of this year, for Civic Plus. And Civic Plus is building out this website. We'll look at it in a moment. But right now on Facebook and Instagram, I just want you to know that we're up to 684 followers between the two. That's both platforms. That's a 10% increase in April. So the best data that I have is the social media data from April. So during the month of April, we grew 10% in followers. Audience grew. That month, we grew 64 new followers. Instagram is growing faster because I'm learning how to use it. I'm better at Facebook. And so there's a portion of my day when I'm working on this campaign, each day I go in and I look at Explore Essex. And there's certain posts that Consociate Media does. They don't do a post every day. They're not paid to do that. There's certain posts that they do. On days that they're not posting something, what I do is I go to our followers. I look for an event from one of our local partners or one of our local businesses, an event or some type of something that I can share. So that's how we get some of this content. As I look at our other partners from the local area, share their content. I do that on Instagram as well. I think it's important. In April, we had 45 total posts on both platforms. So Consociate Media, when they look at this, they're telling us we have a strong overall performance. But I want you to know that there's data, which we track, and they provide a report to the EDA board each month. Before I go into, oh, Chuck, can you show the Instagram page, please? So this is what we look like on Instagram. In our community, Facebook gets a lot more, seems to get a lot more use, a lot more followers, people on Facebook. Maybe it's because we're a little older community. I like the Instagram thing. I'm beginning to understand how to use it a little better. But the point is, we have those two pages, and you guys can follow them, comment on them, like things. You can make suggestions to me about events. For example, this past weekend we had Soul by the River. We promoted that on these platforms. Coming up, you're going to have Riverfest, and we promote that on these platforms. Other events, whether it's at the museum or Wind Vineyard or whatever, we promote tourism events on these platforms. Chuck, can you pull up the Explore Essex site? This is a draft of your Explore Essex tourism website. This is being built by Civic Plus. I meet with them routinely. Chuck is on a lot of those meetings. Consociate Media has been on those meetings. And what they call this is a wireframe, new term for me. And now we're going to hang things on the wireframe. So what you see are some photos. If you scroll back up just a little bit, Chuck, hey, there's a largemouth bass for the Rotary Big Fish Tournament. Probably not going to have a lot of largemouth bass fishing at the Rotary Tournament. That photo is a placeholder. This isn't live. It will go live, hopefully, sometime in June. It could be ready for June. We still have some work to do, which is, some of the things are to go in and swap out some of those photos. These were placeholder photos that I submitted to Civic Plus. We have new photos for many of these things, or I can get them from the people who are organizing Minokin's Pumpkins Festival. That's how this works. If you scroll down a little bit more, Chuck, you'll have itineraries. These are, I want to plan my next adventure. This is heavy on outdoor recreation and history. That's what we do. And so there'll be a lot of that kind of information. There will be itineraries, for example, a foodie escape, history lovers escape. Essex is for wine and beer lovers. These are pretty common campaigns that you see in most tourism websites. We will have our version. They will have updated photos before we go live. These are placeholder photos. Nobody was contracted to put new photos on there yet. Our current contract with Consociate Media is build those photos, send them to me. I have them in a library. Chuck can access them, but nobody's being paid yet to put those on. So that's still in the works. Part of the new grant is putting these new materials on this platform. Outside of that, so the match for this grant is $15,000. I thought a lot about it today. We are in the process of still working on this, some of the content, and maybe even some of the vendors that we use for maybe something like a video. So for your purposes, we don't have to have this appropriation right away. If perhaps you decided that you wanted to use like revenue from the tourism occupancy tax, that I think is available after July 1. It's the standard idea is that after it builds up for the fiscal year, you can make appropriations. That works for us. So by July 1, we could make a request.
You can do it anytime.
You could do it at any time?
Yes.
Okay. So that's a decision for you. For us, it'll take us another month or so. Your June meeting, we would be able to tell you a little bit more about vendors and things like that. But that's where we're headed with this project. And questions for now?
Hey, Woody, on your other attachment where you had the Sprout Social performance numbers, metrics,
Right.
explain to me the difference between, let's see, I had it here somewhere. Here's back.
That's the first attachment that I didn't, the first document, Chuck, that I hadn't,
Yeah.
we hadn't brought up yet. He's referencing that.
Yeah, audience growth, audience metrics, audience growth, and net audience growth, which is negative. What's the difference between the two?
Supervisor Gill, I have to think about that. I'm
Okay,
not-
I
that's-
would like to find out what that is.
So help, let me write
That's on,
that
that's on
down.
page, I think it's page 3.
It may be something simple, I'm just not used to it.
Okay, all right,
Audience growth and net versus net audience growth.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's right there. 75% audience growth and then about 15% negative growth on the net. I don't know what that is.
I don't know either,
Okay,
but I could find out. Audience growth versus net audience, and why is there a drop of about 15%?
I said negative, it's a drop.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I can find out. I'll have to look in that a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Not a question, just a comment for the board. When we appropriated the 8,400 before, we knew this was going to be the next step in this process. If we're going to market and really get the benefit of the Essex Explorer, this is, what he's requesting is that next step. And if we're gonna be a Chesapeake Gateways community, and if we're gonna be participating in the Virginia 250 and all, and this is why we did the tax on our Airbnb, so that we can take that money and put it back into tourism here, so it benefits the people that are paying into this fund. So I would hope that we would honor that commitment to those folks, that this is where we see where we can fund tourism, and we have a funding mechanism that we use. And I think that's a valid point to consider when this budget request does come in formally, whether you put it in June, July, whenever, so.
It's actually on for tonight.
Okay,
It's part of
Even
your
better.
regular
Thank
business. You're welcome.
that's quick. She is on it.
Thank you. And Mr. Magruder, you brought up a really good point. And if you look at that slide, you know, your gateway to the Chesapeake, this perfectly dovetails with that Chesapeake Gateways program. You know, that program is all about your ecological resources and your historical resources. So that's why I think that our board latched on to that concept a couple of years ago, that the Gateways program was a good fit. And we're very positive about that. We're going to be able to.
And that'll
Operate
continue
under
to
that
add more
umbrella.
grant money to
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits.
our
Yes, sir.
tourism, our Explore Essex site, and just so many things in Essex, and hopefully grow those experiences here. You have Wind Vineyard, for example, but maybe there's gonna be another group of people says, hey, we can do this, we can have, pumpkin patches or whatever it is, or whatever tourism stuff, so.
Yes, sir.
I think it all will grow over time, so thank you for that, Woody.
One more question, Woody, thank you again. The pictures that we have placeholders now, is the EDA gonna load those pictures, or is Consocius gonna do that?
Both.
Okay.
And a lot of part of this with the Civic Plus website, as this comes online, Chuck has to train me. So there's a training process where Chuck will train me about how to use that website. I'm comfortable with basic websites. Most of us probably have loaded a picture on something. But with this one, Chuck will train me, and then as much as I can do, I'll do, because it's just cheaper that way. So there'll be that aspect. Some of things, we would use a contracted vendor to do some of the work.
Okay.
But I have all of the photos that they have been paid to give us so far.
I
Thank
just got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I missed it, but I'm gonna ask this question. Being a part of this seems like it's great for, the business stuff. What about the rest of the people in the county? What does it do for them?
So I think that's an important question, Mr. Henry, and what we refer to it is quality of life. Whether it's getting involved with the Gateways program and we're bringing tourists here and it's good for the businesses, a lot of the work that we're doing, some of you are very familiar with the water access report that we got from the Gateways program. So Gateways provided $55,000, contracted the Volpe Center to do a study on our public water access. I'm taking some EDA board members out tomorrow kayaking to look at some of these sites so that my new EDA board members know what these sites look like. But that's a benefit from Gateways and through this program for our citizens. We're doing this to increase visitor tourism. It will enhance our businesses, but it's also a quality of life for the folks who live here. The projects that we'll do, just like this public access, is meant to make it easier for our people to either get to water access or Poorhouse Park or where they need to go.
I'll give you a better answer. Brings in other people's money. Provide us ability to pay for better services and lower taxes for our citizens.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman Akers. That's all I had to say.
Make it cheaper to live. That's right.
Thank you. Anything else, gentlemen? Ma'am?
Thank you, Woody, appreciate it. All right. Next, we have our energy study update. Ms. Sheriff?
Good evening.
Evening.
Chair Akers, members of the board, Administrator Rounds. In theme with de-escalating presentation intensity, I have no visual for you today. Instead, tonight I'm just giving a brief update on the energy efficiency and facility modernization initiative that we're doing is part in using the energy savings performance contracting program and method and in partnership with McClure. As you're aware, we have many of the county's facilities, including the courts, administrative offices, and the community buildings. Right now, they're operating with aging HVAC, electrical and building systems. As you know, these conditions are driving up maintenance costs, creating reliability risk and impacting overall operations. At the same time, we've identified some safety and security needs, particularly at the circuit court. We are addressing these challenges in a very comprehensive way, as you know, by leveraging the guaranteed energy and operational savings. We're going to offset those project costs while always providing a single point of accountability, McClure, and transferring the performance risk to McClure, your partner. The recommended base project focuses on stabilizing facilities, modernizing systems, and improving safety and efficiency across multiple county buildings. Those include the County Administration Office, Circuit Court, Sheriff's Office, Health Department, Library, and many others that we've mentioned before. Those key components include heating, ventilation, and air conditioning modernization, replacing aging equipment, introducing more efficient systems, introducing the variable refrigerant flow technology that will improve your comfort, your reliability, and long-term performance. We're also addressing multiple electrical and lighting upgrades. LED lighting conversions will be made standard. Panel electrical replacements as well, and fire alarm improvements that will enhance safety and reduce your overall energy use. Last but not least, on the energy conservation side is building envelope improvements. That is sealing and weatherizing to reduce energy loss and improve indoor conditions. In addition to those scopes, we have been asked to look at advanced air cleaning systems. Ultimately, we have reviewed and we looked at them, but we have ruled those additional air cleaning solutions out due to high costs relative to the benefit. Instead, we can give you comfort in knowing that your heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems, once upgraded, will be far more effective in delivering that air quality and that comfort and efficiency that you've been looking for. In addition to that, we're exploring the circuit court window upgrade, that is 1-for-1 window upgrades, and the security enhancements that we've reviewed and talked about in our April board meeting. That will include controlled access, intercom systems, and interior modifications. Both of those scope items, I am glad to admit, right where we stand right now is we are performing due diligence on competitive bidding of local providers for that. We expect to receive those responses by the early next week so that we can proceed into our next step, and that is in June, delivering what should be your final project selection approval so that we can move forward with you. From a financial standpoint, the project is structured not to exceed anything more than $3.5 million. It is expected to generate approximately $1.15 million in guaranteed energy and operational savings over 20 years. After accounting for the savings, that project cost is estimated to be about $2.4 million. Again, not to exceed, but again, we're doing our due diligence with the scope items mentioned. The largest investments that comprises of is the HVAC modernization and electrical upgrades. Those are also going to be delivering the most significant operational benefits to you. When it comes down to the 2.4 and the math that we're talking about, as mentioned before, as we get closer, we are happy to help you. If you choose that you want to explore other funding and financing avenues, a TELP, tax-exempt municipal lease, a bond, what have you, we are here as your partner to move forward in those additional steps, and we can navigate those waters together. As a whole, in addition to the financial impacts and benefits, other community and operational benefits that you are getting from this include guaranteed savings, reducing long-term financial risk, accelerated modernization, so we're allowing you to complete those upgrades years sooner than traditional funding would allow, improved reliability of those critical facilities, reducing emergency repairs and downtime, enhanced court security and public safety throughout, a strong local impact with 88% of your project resources being local. And we've identified 7 potential grant opportunities that will further reduce your costs. Our next step is to finalize, as I mentioned, get those final numbers, provide them to the administration team, and finalize the agreement, have that reviewed by your attorney, and our hope is to proceed under the energy savings performance model with the project not to exceed that 3.5, pending final contract negotiations. Once we have everything put together, our expectation is to bring that back to the board for formal approval and execution. As I'm here, we just want to say, as McClure representative, we are proud to be your partner on this initiative. We feel it's going to bring you a strategic opportunity to address your aging infrastructure, improve your safety and reliability, do so in the most financial responsible way, leveraging those guaranteed savings and passing the risk to us. I appreciate your time. Any questions?
In the information that you're going to be providing us, the finals of all this information, are you also going to show us when payments are due? Basically trying to figure out, are we going to be looking at 2.4 million in year 1? Is that going to be stretched out over, 1.3 this year, 700,000 next year, and the final 4 over 3 years? What do we, I don't need the answer to that, but I would like to have that included in your information if if it's not done so already.
You will have that 100% given
Okay.
to you in contractual written form. They
Okay.
will talk about a 30% down payment to mobilization fee.
Okay.
We can 100% negotiate with that with you.
Okay.
We are your partner in this, but there's also a payment schedule. So
Okay.
during construction, you are billed during those construction times.
Max,
Now-
I heard negotiate.
Now, I know-
10% down payment.
Now, I know that the school has already signed contracts and agreements, they have done that. Is this going to be coordinated when they're doing theirs, or is this gonna be done afterwards? Or are they gonna do something over there, and then that same crew's gonna come over here? How's that gonna be coordinated?
Thank you for asking that, Supervisor Magruder. We are 80% of the way through the elementary school's lighting upgrades, building envelope upgrades. We are holding off on the high school lighting upgrades because we're really hoping that we can deploy the same troops to both so that we can maximize the economies of scale, make sure that we're using the same team for both county as well as school buildings for you.
And the last question would be the grant opportunities. Is that something that you all apply on that, or is that something that you say, here are these opportunities, and you all, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, I just curious to see which way we need to handle that.
Happy to field that as well. I identify them, source them, figure out what the comparable applicable would be. I've sent them to Jay as well as Brian Seal so that we can see how we
Okay.
can navigate a application. And then what our team can happily do, and we're ready to do it, is send the technical specs that go along with the application process. So we are there in support to help during the application process. We identify as many as we can that feel fit the bill. But as far as clicking the send on the application, it should be done by Essex County.
Okay. And the schools are doing that same thing with their grant opportunities?
Those there, yes, we have identified a few. I could benefit from knowing who the best person at the schools is that would be applying, or if that's the county asset as well.
Okay.
But they have identified a few that would absolutely be applied to.
Yeah, so ultimately, that's what I was gonna bring up. So we know you guys have started work on the school side. We still haven't seen a capital improvement plan from the schools yet, which we know this would need to be encompassed into. That typically falls on the burden of the county already, but we need to have that information in order to get it over to our financial consultants so they can tell us whether it's best to use partially with our unassigned fund balance, or maybe we go to bonds, or maybe we do other things. Has that been presented to the schools at this point, Bob McClure?
Yes, we have provided the invoice schedule during construction. We had a kickoff for construction that was done in early April, which kind of spoke about when we would start doing the actual work, and that's typically when billing is attached to, is phased to, and directly tied to when the work is completed. So if we started in April, the school started seeing invoices from us in April, and they would expect to see April, May, June, July, and August would be the last invoice for getting to that total max size of the project being 1.68. And then they should start seeing and realizing the savings early July from their Dominion energy bills. They'll start reaping the benefits of those savings.
So the total for the schools is 1.68 million for what is
That's
being done?
correct.
That doesn't include the solar, which we know that's part
That
of the
does not
PB.
include the solar. Mm-mm.
And that's really where the savings really comes in.
Oh, yes.
Over-
But it's, nothing to be shameful of. The inside the building's work is producing $2.4 million in savings over 20 years, so that's not too shabby. It's more than the project size itself, so.
So I would request that when we get the details, the timeline of the funding and everything for the county, that we also incorporate the schools, so we just have a copy of that as well.
Yeah,
And
we,
then
yeah,
Wes,
we
the
need to
schools
see
to
that.
also provide us with the CIP that includes that and other.
Especially because invoices have already gone out to the schools. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, one was sent about two weeks ago, 2 weeks
Okay.
ago. Mm-hmm. And if it helps, I did send everything to Nita as well. Just full transparency.
Board members, any other questions?
Good, thank you.
My
Thank you,
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have our proposed new ordinance. Mr. Sitton.
Morning or afternoon, members of the board, Ms. Rounds. I'd like to talk to you about an idea I had. As you know, I sit in court a lot, watch proceedings. And based on watching the BDOT presentation, it's more apt than not to bring this up tonight. But Virginia at one point was known as the state with the most traffic codes of all the other states in the country. There were kind of colloquial statistics that every mile you drive, you would violate up to 6 traffic laws in Virginia. And a lot of people that come to court, clean driving records, you know, you have the little old lady never had a ticket, runs a stop sign. Or you have someone, especially now with everything we've got going on with our phones, using it for GPS, whatever, you grab it to check the directions, you get a ticket for using your phone while driving. And a lot of times I see the disparity in someone who's doing something minor, but we have to shoehorn it into something like a reckless driving or something that's going to hurt someone's driving record beyond some points or insurance. And it just doesn't seem fair for the infraction. And I've spoken to some other Commonwealth's attorneys and some other judges, and other jurisdictions have a local ordinance, a county ordinance. Basically, it's failure to devote proper time and attention to driving. And that is for something we can't fit into a reckless. So you have a accident out here and we can't figure out what to charge. It gets charged as a reckless driving. Reckless driving is a class 1 misdemeanor that actually goes on your criminal history. It's a very serious thing. It can actually bar you from a lot of stuff. Or you have a speeding that's not that egregious. Maybe it's 9 over in town something, and it can get reduced to an improper equipment or something. We could use this statute or ordinance to kind of help people further. You've got a clean record, you've done some community, you've done something. It doesn't go on your driving record, it's no points, and it's just something to kind of help the citizens. It's a simple, you weren't paying attention. So again, you are using your phone for directions, you can't quite see what it's saying, you grab it for a second and set it down, and there's one of the deputies or the officers there and they see you. Why should we hit you with the using your cell phone while driving when it was something innocuous like looking at directions? So it helps people out. It gives me a tool to assist the citizens of, hey, you've driven well your whole life. It's something minor. We'd like to help you out with that. Bonus to that is right now, if we charge something under a state statute, those fines go to the state, goes to the state literary fund. If we have a local ordinance that I could move things to simple stuff like this, that money then comes to the county. So you have offenses against the county. I see Supervisor Magruder laughing already.
I love revenue, Mike.
So,
I love the revenue.
Other people.
But this revenue makes sense too, in that the offense is against the citizens of Essex County. They're speeding in town, they're causing accidents in town, they're doing something here that affects the citizens. Why should those funds go to the state when they could go to assist the people who they're actually hurting? You know, people don't understand that a crime isn't always just a victim of something, it's a crime against society. You've broken societal norms. Repay the communities that are being harmed. And with the amount of traffic that comes from Northern Virginia, from Virginia Beach, just all through the area. I mean, again, gateway to the Chesapeake. They all come through here, whether they're going to the Northern Neck or they're just cutting down 17 to get further south or to Richmond. They all come here, they hurt our communities, and that money goes somewhere else. So it's a way to help drivers, it's a way to assist members in the community who have done the right thing their entire life, or they go above and beyond, they do community service, they do driving school, they do all that before they come in, and it repays the community. So I think it's appropriate, and by writing it as failure to devote proper time and attention, it covers stop signs. It covers not seeing that speed limit sign up by John Deere that you pass every weekend when you're coming to your river house. All those things that people take into account. So I would like your support in passing that ordinance and give us the tools that we need in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to enforce the laws, but also not be so heavy-handed as some of these draconian traffic laws are.
I know this is gonna come before us as far as the ordinance next month, and you may not have the answer to this, I don't expect you to. Have you looked at any like previous data on how much of this would apply, of what's been happening in the past, how much of that would apply if we made that change?
I can get with Christina and get you better details, but I can tell you right now, there's a big, most of these things that we reduce on a weekly basis you're talking fines anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a week that are from speeding down to defective equipment, improper driving, things of that nature. So it's not a huge revenue generator, but positive revenue is better than negative revenue.
Absolutely.
So, you know, every little bit helps these days, but again, I'm looking more at a way to help the citizens because, again, someone runs a stop sign, they weren't paying attention, they use their phone, that goes to their insurance, that could affect their employment, all because of something simple. So, is it like my cue in the Supreme Court, the lights
No,
go
what
out?
is going on?
Don't
I
talk.
mean,
Yes,
what
sir.
is happening?
They're playing with the transformer outside.
What's going on?
Yeah, I can get you more definite numbers on that.
Chrissy, help.
Definitely call in here.
But, you know, it's one of those things, the revenue side of it, well,
It's
it makes
minor.
John happy.
Makes me happy, but it's minor, but the important
minor.
thing is to help the citizens. I like that,
Exactly,
too.
that's really what I'm
That's good.
focused on. It gives us
That's fine.
another tool to help people.
Diff-
Any other questions?
Board members?
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike, appreciate it. All right, next we have Dr. Jones, and my understanding is we don't, the budget has been postponed until March 20th work session with the March 28th.
May 28th?
May 28th,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah, that is correct. Good evening. Thank you for just a couple of minutes, but yes, you're right. The original plan or the hope was that our board would have approved our proposed budget at their meeting last night. They did opt to hold off on voting on the entire budget. But there is a piece to it that they have approved, and I wanted to come to you all with that for consideration of appropriating tonight, and that is the VPI Virginia Preschool Initiative. And so and I do have our VPI guru in the building, and so she may come up and assist with questions if there are any. But we did want to present that to you, that the Virginia Preschool Initiative is the initiative that covers our youngest learners, our 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds. And it is a program that the state provides that we participate in, VDOE that we participate in, that basically covers, again, like I said, the 3 and 4-year-old children. The state provides a certain amount of money, and then there's a required match if we're going to participate in it, required local match. And so if you're looking at not the application form, but the third document on BoardDocs, I believe that's the one that is, shows the rationale and the background. But the gist of it is that, you know, for our youngest learners, you know, research is pretty clear about us being able to get to those, get to our young people sooner than later, and investing resources in that group of young people certainly makes a lot of sense to prevent some of the challenges that could come later in their lives. And so for us, we are looking for funding to cover 38. So the number that we have been given is 38 4-year-olds, 5 3-year-olds. This is typical, that range, 38 to 40, 45 or so over the last few years is about the number of 4-year-olds that we've had in these programs. And so when we did the application process, that's the number that we used. And so there is a bottom line of $203,000 for our 4-year-olds, with $26,805 for our 3-year-olds that the state is providing if we participate. And then there's the local match. Now this number doesn't exactly match the number that you saw in the budget that we proposed. If you looked at the budget, that the number in the budget is a little higher, but that does include the proposal for the other things that come along with staff when you're asking to fund staff. So insurance, those things, the purchase services, the instructional materials. So that number comes to be a little higher as far as the number that we're asking to be appropriated, which is a total of $298,162. But again, that includes the 203 plus 26,805 that the state is funding. And so there's the local match side that we're asking you all and to appropriate this evening. Again, I do have Ms. Gross, who oversees the program. She's in the building, and she actually will be sharing something else with you here in a little bit. But if there are specific questions, I'll try to answer, and if not, I'll get Ms. Gross help.
So I'm clear, so the ask is actually 298,162,
Correct.
and what's being provided through the state and the Calc Tools recommendation is 235,23 state contribution and local contribution, correct? And so we're looking at an additional $68,000 roughly over and above the Calc Tool.
That, I'm trying to pull that myself. Yeah, the Calc Tool said 209,079. Yes, so the Calc Tool gave a number, but the application gave some information from the state that is a little bit less than that, but let Ms. Gross
These
talk about
numbers
that.
are pulled out of the application, so these are the calculated numbers for the 38 4-year-olds and the 5 3-year-olds. That was based on our current enrollment of 38 and 5, so that's how many were present this year. So we use the exact same numbers as the current year. And when we plug them into the application, these are the numbers. So the state would provide $203,718 for 4-year-olds and $26,805 for 3-year-olds. These 3-year-olds would be in our system regardless because they're special needs students. So regardless of whether they're in this matching grant or not, we still are required to pay for them to attend school. The local match from this, for you guys in cash for the 4-year-olds is $101,859. The local match for the 3-year-olds is $13,403. So that would be the cash match that you would be responsible for if approved. And the other would be in kind. For instance, they ride our school buses, they eat in our cafeterias, they go to specials and have other teachers. So the in-kind match is pretty easily attained. So that's how it breaks down, and that would be your local portion. And I did also want to mention, when this is always projected, always a projected grant. And then we do a child count on September 30th, and then there's usually another count in December. Because schools takes a while to fill those 3- and 4-year-old spots. They don't all show up the first day of school, and some of them are identified with special needs, and they come to us after school starts. So these numbers are always in flux, and we can never predict them 100%. However, both the state share and the local match decrease. So if we do not fill the spots, they will decrease by the number of students, and that's standard every year.
My only exception to that is we've never appropriated back down for when that number's decreased. We get less money from the state. But
Yeah,
never,
I don't know these financial
Yeah.
things, I just run the
that's,
grant.
that's something we've talked about in previous
But, yeah,
meetings, that
if
if
you
we're not
guys-
monitoring that,
Yeah,
we're, the county's still paying the difference of what the state's not paying is what ends up happening.
Yeah, so ideally with that, since that happens, what should happen is when those numbers actually decrease, then we really should return some of the money that you had provided for us for those kids. And so we get that hasn't happened in the past, but that's something that we do need to be cognizant of.
yeah, and we missed by a few kids this year. And there is a report that comes out, the actual report doesn't usually come in until January. And that comes in until January, and what I would suggest that you do is follow this up in January, when those reports come down, and have the finance team even that up, however it needs to be
And
done.
there's a reason why we would use, if we know our enrollment numbers have been going down, is there a reason we'd use the current year numbers and not some lesser number? Because wouldn't it be better to get more from the,
We could, if that were the recommendation, we could do that. It's difficult, you will lose your spots if you don't keep them. So that is one gamble that you make. If you shoot low, you have difficulty getting back up again. But the caveat to that is the amount of money decreases per student if you don't fill the spaces.
So that would be my recommendation. If, you know, like, if we have a big trend of decreasing enrollment, then that could be an issue. However, we have 2 4-year-old classes, and we are allowed to fill out those extra seats with students who don't meet a qualifier. So, you know, the number of students we have per grade level is way more than 2 4-year-old classes. We typically have at least 4 full classes per grade. So you can get some exceptions, and you can ask for a higher percentage of students who do not automatically qualify to fill those extra seats. Those are some of the ways that you can go about getting them filled.
And so with the trend of our students who qualify, our county being 64% for students who are free or reduced meals.
It's going to be 73 at the elementary school this year. I believe that information just came out.
Wow,
It's in the
okay,
70s.
Okay. So again, the likelihood that the students who would, you know, be in those grades would be kids that are, you know, eligible for the program. So it's hard to predict those young kids. There's some years when they're bigger classes than others. I think this year the kindergarten group was bigger than it had been, is what I understand. But certainly you're right, the enrollment overall, you know, has been going down.
Is it only for 3 and 4-year-olds?
That's correct. And
Pre-K.
I believe we only missed the 4-year-old by 1 or so students.
And Head Start, while we don't service them fully, they come to the building to eat, so they participate in that way, but, you know, they're housed right behind the school there. But they don't necessarily count in that number.
Right, like
right?
we have an MOU with Head Start, so the Head Start program is separate from us, and they serve a lot more 3-year-olds than we serve, because they can serve both 3 and 4-year-olds as well.
Dr. Jones, you had mentioned that the 3-year-olds are special needs. The SPED money from the IDA 619 program seems like a logical fit to me. Why aren't we using that, since we're not spending all the SPED money that we are given anyway? Seems logical to me to cover that, at least the 3-year-olds with that money. Can that be done?
Well, I do believe that some of that is done, but it's not just for the 3-year-olds. It's not just the 3-year-olds that are special needs. There are 4-year-olds as well. So.
Even better, if you're not using all the SPED money now, why can't we shift it over there to the special need kids and the 3 and 4-year-olds to lessen the local match
Yes.
that would need to be in there?
And so that's something that we're in the process of working on, as far as why some funding for special ed hasn't been spent. That is something that we are coming to realize, that, you know, there were places that funding was provided for special ed kids that was coming out of general ed funds. There are times that we had some of those issues, and we're trying to clean that up, and so that, you know, the right pot is being used for special education children, which is your 6B or your 619 and 611. So we're cleaning that up. It's not going to be a thing where that special ed money is not being spent where it should be moving forward.
So what is the request, or is there a request tonight?
So the request is at this point to approve just what our board has approved, which is just the VPI section of our budget.
Is that on our business agenda?
Not that amount.
I don't think.
Yeah, I know, but
Is
it's
there a
not
number
on,
written
it's
on
not, it's not as a BAF form is in our regular session. So we're only looking at the cash portion, the appropriation, the local, which is the 101,859 plus the 13,403, 4 and 3-year-olds. Is that what you're saying?
At this time, I'm going to say yes. The caveat is the entire portion of the budget that was initially submitted included the other parts of the budget as well. That's not included in that 101 plus the 13 or whatever that is.
Yeah, we would have to appropriate whatever the total amount is, the amount coming
Right.
from the state and the amount coming from the locality. And I guess we just need to kind of know that hard number, because
We got another hard number, plus we need it documented, and we don't have it documented right at this point. other than what's in this school board agenda.
And the other
and the
question
hard-
is, I'm sorry, go ahead,
No, I was
Dr.
gonna say, the hard number is, state funding 209, RLE is 209, hard, 418, 158. That number comes from the calc tool. The state funding number.
And the other question is, I guess, Chairman Akers, to address your point that you made, since there's going to be another evaluation of number of students in December, right? Is that what you said?
That's correct.
Do we have to appropriate all the money now, or
That's a good question.
can we appropriate half and then the other half when it gets evaluated?
Well-
If you can find that out, that would be good to know. Again,
Well,
just
that's
for
a good-
cash flow
Maybe let's back
purposes.
into your
Yeah.
consideration.
My understanding, which could be wrong, is the calc tool, when you have to certify what programs you're participating in with the VPI, you'll be certifying June 1st that you're gonna allocate all of that money
Okay,
that's in the calc tool.
well, it's good to know.
Okay.
That's fine.
So
That's-
then it
Just
would
need to
be-
know that. That's
Yeah,
good.
so then it would be
Okay.
prudent upon us to circle back in January,
Okay.
and if we haven't met the mark, give you some money back.
Okay.
I would like to see a better number. I question using the same numbers used in previous years. And I think I'd rather see a data, whether it's a Weldon Cooper report or something that kind of tracking the trends of births, to see whether we're actually gonna have that same amount of kids that will qualify for it. It doesn't make sense to budget for the whole thing and then just have to return money or not get the money that we anticipated. I'd rather be on the opposite end of it, us have more children in the program and be able to get those funds. Because I know it's oftentimes a prorated share, what you get or get back. And do we know whether we've met that VPI criteria each year? Like last year, did we meet the full amount?
You mean, did we meet the enrollment?
And-
It varies a little bit each year because it's projected. We are typically pretty close. I could
So
probably
2 off
dig up
this year.
some historical information on that. I just haven't looked at it recently, but it was maybe 1 4-year-old and then a couple 3-year-olds. And, it's really getting
That we
those
were
kids
short.
enrolled in time. However, we did have 38 and 5 this year. So I decreased the enrollment numbers in this application. So I decreased to the 38 and I decreased to the 5 to match what we had this year.
Because it started out higher, but
Correct.
we only hit 35, gotcha. Okay. So Will, you all don't have another meeting in May, correct?
Do not.
Got it. We need to certify that.
You have to have this by what, June 1? Is that what I heard?
The application is due
Well,
May 15th.
Right, May 15th is when.
May 15th.
Yes, when this particular application is due.
And what happens if, I mean, you could essentially opt into the program, correct? And if you don't hit the numbers,
Opt out.
right,
I'm sure we could, but I'm sure there's probably a deadline when you have to do that too, or Ms. Nita, you know?
Just from what I have read with the calc tool, because this is also part of the calc tool, and I think you just said that the application is a different amount than what was on the calc tool. But the calc tool, again, it's one of those programs that you opt in, and you opt in for that amount that's on the calc tool. So if you're
So there is no,
there's no, oh, we're not gonna meet that, we need to change that. That's not my understanding of how it works. It's one of those programs that you opt in, you're in.
yeah, this is the number,
You're
right,
in for a penny or $100.
which is that number that I shared a minute ago.
And I'm not sure how it works, but we get a report decreasing, the amount of funding both for the state and local match. So I do not know the ins and outs of financially how that works.
Yeah, it's just that,
However, it is adjusted based on the actual enrollment.
I believe there's a report in SWSS that someone in the school submits for DPI.
Yeah, there is. I do the enrollment reports, and it goes into, SSWS system.
My hang up on this is really that the number, not the program benefits itself, but the number that we're putting in and appropriating up front.
I'm the same way.
And I just feel like it's probably been escalating down, and I'd rather be on the lower side of it and come up higher and get provided more than the other way around.
And it's
So-
also filling a classroom, you know, you're paying a teacher, it's for 2 completely full 4-year-old classrooms. So if you are decreasing the spaces, you still have, you know, you will have classes with the same number of teachers with less kids in them, is what you'll end up with. You know, just giving you that perspective.
And with the, so the total is 418, 158, I think we said.
Right.
But that's all encompassing, I mean, that's specifically for VPI, right? That's for the teachers, that's
gonna be the
we're
whole
talking
nine.
about 2 classrooms, that's, maybe I'm wrong, it just seems like that's ample for 2 classrooms, yeah. Almost $500,000. And I just don't know what the difference in money ends up being if you drop it
Well-
down by
And they
2
encourage
each.
us to use graded funding, so when Mr. Magruder brought up special education, we are encouraged to pay for staff and students with those special education funds as well. It's intended to be a graded funding program.
As well as the para-educators who are.
You know, so we
who are
have peer
assigned to that.
educators in there, we have special education services pushing into those students. So we are able to pay those individuals with either special education funds, BPI funds, you know, other general funds. So it can be paid as a mixture and it's intended to be a graded.
And their benefits come with that
Can
as
these
well.
funds be used to pay for other things? Could it be paid for
Not if it's a
other
part of,
It can pay for instructional needs within the 3 and 4-year-old classrooms.
has to be a part of that program.
So, you know, anything instructional personnel, can be paid for with those funds, for those classes.
So teacher salaries, para-education salaries, salaries that go for substitutes for that particular program, special educators who assist with that program, and their benefits, and instructional materials and resources and those kinds of things.
Chairman Akers, help me think this through. The Board of Supervisors has approved a budget categorically for, to me, this would fall under instructional, which we increased to 73%. Why can't they, if they're in a rush right now, why can't they take it from that and utilize that? And then they have to, because this is what they do in their budget, they figure out where that money's gonna come from, or they can always come back here and request, maybe when we have better hard numbers or whatever, we can then, you know, adjust something if we want to or can afford to. There's some other issues with that, but that to me, it seems they've already have the money appropriated. Why can't they use their instructional money to cover this? They need it now.
Well, I see where you're going with that. I think the only challenge for us might be is that the initial amount that we funded was based on the calc tool, which didn't necessarily include like
It didn't include the
VPI.
VPI.
So, if we're obligated for that amount of money through the calc tool already. So if they were to institute that program and use that for VPI, that would take that amount of money away from what's included in the calc tool, if I'm not mistaken, because there you go.
That's the way I understand it as well.
Their choice. Am I
Well,
reading it
no,
wrong?
because we have to fund based on the calc tool.
Yeah, our budget was the SOQ requirement,
But not the VPI.
not the
Correct.
VPI.
Okay.
That's one of the optional programs that you can opt in or out of, and that's kind of how we said, if we have an optional program, it'd come before us. And right now, my only thing is a question of the numbers themselves, and then not having, the budget action forms and that detail. And just getting this, not that I have any issue with what's provided here, but we've got different numbers that it sounds like you're wanting to request from what's based in the calc tool, so I think we kind of need to see that laid out a little bit.
Yeah, I support the program, but I'm struggling with what the final number is in a BAF form, so, and this, the FY '27, this is for FY '27, so the funds would not be, even though the application is May 15th or whatever, we're not paying anything until July 1, correct?
And Ms. financial year '27.
Right, okay.
And so we can certainly get you, the form and whatnot, but, just again, the calc tool number is that 209, that I gave you 209, that the state is giving, and saying that in order for us to take advantage of that state number, the RLE, the required local effort is the 209,079, which is a total of 418,158. That's what the calc tool says. The application is based on specific numbers.
And if, Ronnie, I know you're up on this, I don't believe that we still haven't passed the budget, right? State still hasn't passed the budget.
The state, no.
I mean, there's a good argument to be made that if you need to delay in time to submit this application because they haven't done their
The
job.
state has not passed the budget.
that-
Right, so we're between a rock and a hard place because it is due May 15th.
As was their budget, was due well before that. We haven't seen that either, so I'd be happy to make that argument. But I think I need a little bit more clarification before I bring it up, but that's really up to the discretion of the board.
Yeah, I don't see whether we take action on appropriation is gonna prevent you from the application, because funds are not going to be dispersed until the new year. I might, if I'm wrong on that, let me know.
I don't know, I feel like it's a commitment when you know, I don't know the exact answer to that, but we are, it is an application saying that we will participate.
Right, I
That's what it
understand.
is.
So if the recommendation is that we proceed with submitting the application, we can certainly do that because with the clarification that you're looking for, you probably won't be able to do that by Friday, which is when we got to send that. So we'll do that if that's what you think it should happen, and until you get some, I guess, some assurances about the hard number or what have you, and then we'll come back. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, well, nothing can happen in this meeting. It would
Right.
have to happen in a regular meeting regardless,
Right.
not during the work session. But that would be dependent on the board being comfortable that we've got the specific information that we're looking for. Even if it was budgeted lower and it came back higher, that can always come back at a later time. It seems like you really, and I agree, you're making a commitment. What the schools don't want to do is make a commitment that they can't back up and follow up with
Right.
some numbers committed by the board, so I can appreciate that. I'm not sure that the increase is the number, and I've seen the 418, the calc tool number, we'll put 1025, whatever that number
Right.
works out to be. But again, I still think we need the appropriate, forms and even, in order to even, make a decision on it. So we'll bring it up as an item to see if the board wants to add it to the agenda on the regular meeting, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay.
Let's see.
All right.
Board
And we will
members, any
work
other
with Ms.
questions?
Rounds on getting the paperwork.
Dr. Jones,
Yes.
I think it would be helpful to the board, if there was a little more explanation in the breakdown of where the expenses are gonna go. Like you mentioned, purchase services, what services are you purchasing? So we can know where the money is going and what it's being spent on.
Mhm. We can certainly provide that. Purchase services in particular is a budget that is provided within each category for times when there are services that are necessary, but we don't necessarily have specific things that absolutely had to be purchased, had to be used for purchase services. But in general, I mean, that money is going towards our licensed instructors, materials, resources, again, like I said, paraeducators, particular intervention programs, all of that goes towards those money goes towards those things. And then the assistance of special education, personnel as well. But we can certainly take a look at what you're saying. So and I think what you're talking about is within the category there, other than the titles themselves, then the benefits, so FICA, VRS, and health and all of that, you have the purchase service, you have the travel, there is no travel money, sorry, and instructional materials. So those are the two areas where there is funding that is typically a part of the very specific category, and that, again, doesn't include the salaries. And so For instance, for instructional materials, FY '26. It does. I mean, but no, the purchase services and instructional materials, that part I was talking about. But for instance, instructional materials for FY '26, the allocation was $1,000. And so for FY '27, we had it listed at $1,000. And the same with purchase services, it was listed at $5,000, we had it at $5,000. So those are the only other two, other than, again, salaries and benefits within that category. And so that goes to, materials, resources, programs, that sort of thing.
What did the school board approve as far as the dollar amount?
They approved the
They,
cover sheet,
they,
the information on the cover sheet.
So they approved the 235.23? Is that what it is?
Yeah, whatever the
I might
total
have
number
looked at
is
the
on
right
the
sheet.
cover sheet, yeah.
Was that in the form of a motion from the school?
We included the motion, I believe. We anticipate
it's
you
at the very top,
asking
I
that.
think, right?
No, on
Or
the,
actually, it's on the cover sheet of BoardDocs, so you gotta go out of this.
Yeah, it
Put
just
on
said that the VPI was to be approved, but I didn't see an amount.
it didn't list
I
in
don't
the
think-
motion language, if I'm right, the dollar amount. If you could go to the board's agenda.
So our approval should be exactly the same amount the school board approves, which I don't know
So-
what that
Mhm.
is.
And so,
Can we go to the board docs?
they
please?
didn't write a number in the, or say a
Right,
number
and
in
we
the motion.
included it, I thought they might see
Yeah,
it.
there it is.
So it was made
Um,
by,
There's no number there.
that's
right.
right, that's from the meeting
Right.
was made.
So, but if you're looking at the budget that we presented,
Mhm.
not necessarily the documents, the budget that we presented,
So,
that's,
yeah,
The
They were
VPI
approving
was
the-
approved, not at last night's
Right.
meeting, it was
Right.
approved
A few weeks ago, I think.
that's right.
mhm.
That's why I was trying to get to whatever that number was, so if
That's what we need.
Yeah, I'm just trying to calculate that out now.
Mhm.
Oops. So it's just a calculator.
Hey, Dr. Jones,
April meeting, yes.
y'all did have 38 in
Pre-K?
5 this year, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe we were shooting for 40. We didn't quite hit that mark.
Yep, we decreased, the 3-year-olds, and again, it's been a couple months since I looked real closely at it, but, I believe we might have decreased the 3-year-olds by 5, and the 4-year-olds by 1 or 2, but they were decreased.
So on this cover sheet, what I added up with the VDOE for 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds plus the local 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds, I'm coming up with 345, 785. Is the number I've got.
What is it, 325?
Yeah, those 4
Three-
numbers together
Mhm.
would be the combination of
Mhm.
the state's contribution and your local contribution that would be required for participation in BPI.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
But we need to confirm if the school board approved that amount.
It didn't include a dollar amount.
Right.
I've got the motion here from that
Right.
meeting that you mentioned. It says, the motion was to approve the VPI program as presented, subject to a final budget approval and allocated funds.
So they don't have our number because it's based on.
Right,
the-
so I think
it's
they're
based
trying-
on, it's based on the
I
actual.
think they're trying to
budget.
opt in to participate into the program, but
Right.
not allocate to a specific dollar amount.
And they received the same
Right.
documents when they made that decision.
Right,
Right.
trying to get into the program, right.
Yeah, if it's this board's desire to take action on this at the regular meeting, my recommendation of any amount would be those numbers on this cover sheet. Not barring nothing else, we really don't have anything else to go by unless it's based on what the calc tool already has.
Right.
But I think, yeah, some of it's contingent, we could also, this board could also do the same thing, make it contingent on an approved and acceptable budget by the school board.
And I think it is very important to have a process, after the enrollment checks in September and December to move this back around.
I'd much rather appropriate more if we know we can get more money, wouldn't have any problem.
Right.
Well, you can't get more seats. You can only decrease it, you can't increase it. if we do decrease our numbers, you probably won't get them back because other school divisions are waiting to scoop them up.
It's probably worded that way so you could meet the application deadline and not lose the seats.
Right, right.
Chairman Akers, where would this money come from in our budget? Are we talking about taking it from reserves? Because
That would have to be a discussion based on what we have budgeted. We'd have to go back and look at what we already have classified in and see how that would come from. It would have to come
Reserves.
to, either comes from reserves, find out other operational efficiencies to find it somewhere else, or we raise taxes.
I would anticipate it's gotta come from reserves.
that's what I would anticipate as well, and I don't know what our reserve balance is right now. Can we absorb this with some of the other things that are coming down the pike and everything else?
Well, that's something that needs taken into consideration, the other, construction projects that we have, all of that that's going on, that has to be
Exactly.
consideration. And then how those are funded, and that's really a Davenport issue that we really need their advice and guidance on, based on capital and.
And let's face another fact and not hide behind it either. I mean, there's the sped issue with money having to be returned. I'm not sure where that $180-some thousand is coming from. The county's already put out $1.5 million last year. I don't know how much more our reserve can take. That's what I need to know that, you know, not say, I don't, you know, great program, I see that. You know, getting this I'm disappointed that we're getting this at the last minute. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be honest and brutally truthful. I'm very disappointed to get this at the last minute and get this like this.
I took it to the school board as soon, the state was slow releasing the application this year. So as soon as they released the application, I got it to the school board as soon as possible.
And I appreciate that, Angela, and I'm not, you know, criticizing anybody in particular. I understand process, and, but it's very hard for us to make a decision when, this is the first time I've seen it. I mean, it wasn't even on the, our board packet this weekend to study it and everything else. So it makes it very difficult on us to make good decisions. So I just want to let the public know that. I'm trying to make the best decisions I can, but it's hard when you get this at the last minute.
We didn't get it till late this afternoon.
And even this afternoon.
Yeah, because
so.
it was at their meeting last night.
I'm not normally involved in any of this process.
Again,
So this is all new to me.
Angela, I'm not criticizing you, and I'm not even criticizing Dr. Jones, but,
I am here in support of the program and the value of the program.
and I don't think you've got much debate here. I can't speak for them, but I'll speak for myself. The program's great. No, I'm not fussing about that. So you just gotta realize that we as a board have to take in other considerations that, you know, you guys
Yeah,
can
we can
focus
appreciate
here,
that.
but we have to look here.
Yeah, we can appreciate that,
So,
for sure.
anyway.
Any other questions, board members, comments? Now, we could take it up as, if it's an issue we would add to the regular meeting or not, so,
Add agenda approval?
right,
Okay. Thank you for that.
thank you.
Thank you, and, all right, thank you.
All right, we've, yeah, well, I know we have something to add. Can we move this to our regular meeting? Yeah, I don't like to start our regular meetings late, and
Already late.
we're already 7 minutes behind that. But I would like to see, does board members need a quick break?
Yes.
So if we can take a 5-minute break, and we'll meet back in 5 minutes and start a regular meeting, and Beth, we'll get you on right after we get stuff opened up.